So that's what Modi 2.0 cabinet is looking like. Some major changes also in the core team. We're, of course, talking about the Cabinet Committee on Security, or CCS. CCS is the final decision-making body on all matters of national security. It also decides on appointment as far as the key security positions are concerned. On matters of national security, it decides on all appointments in the national security apparatus, the defense policy and expenditure. The Prime Minister chairs this committee. Other members include the Defense Minister, the Finance Minister, the External Affairs Minister and the Minister of Home Affairs. In short, the big four of the Council of Ministers. And with the exit of Sushma Swaraj and Arun Jaitley, the induction of two new names was on expected lines. They are Amit Shah and S. Jaishankar. Despite portfolio changes, two names remain part of the CCS. They are Nirmala Sitharaman, who was moved from the Defence Ministry to Finance. The other name is Rajnath Singh, who has moved from Home Affairs to the Defence Ministry. So those are the key takeaways as the Modi 2.0 cabinet is now clear. The names have emerged. The portfolios have now been made clear. Let's get in a quick reaction from R.K. Upadhyay, who's been with us, analyzing all the key names and the portfolios that have been given out. R.K. Upadhyay, what according to you is the biggest surprise, the name or the portfolio that you feel was not along expected lines?
I think the biggest surprise is Nirmala Sitharaman getting finance. All speculation was that it would go to Amit Shah. I don't know on what basis, because Amit Shah, is not going to be a finance person, nor is Nirmala Sitharaman. Probably Mr. Narendra Modi wanted to promote Nirmala Sitharaman, also because Rajnath Singh had to be given a different portfolio from Home, because Home was going to Amit Shah. So maybe that's the reason why she had to be accommodated there. But I would have thought that looking at the condition of the economy, you needed a good economist to run the finance ministry. It would have been nice if Mr. Modi had found an expert economist to run the finance ministry, but you can never rule out what Nirmala Sitharaman will do, because nobody expected her to do a great job of defense ministry, but she did, and she's a person of great integrity and a great understanding. And I think because of the way she defended this government and parliament, on the floor of the parliament, especially on the Rafale case, has boosted her image and stature within the party and the government, and that was the reason why she had to be given one of the top four, so that she is also part of the CCS. The biggest takeaway is, of course, Jaishankar. Jaishankar was an outsider, just a technical bureaucrat who, until 2018, now coming in as External Affairs Minister. I thought at one point of time yesterday that maybe Mr. Modi himself wants to, hold on to external affairs, and Jaishankar will be a Minister of State. But no, Jaishankar has been made full-scale External Affairs Minister, which means that Mr. Modi has a lot of confidence in Jaishankar's ability to run this ministry on his own. Of course, Mr. Modi has great experience of running this government for the last 5 years. He was in the forefront of running the ministry even when Sushma Swaraj was there, and hopefully, I think his experience will be used. Jaishankar's experience of being the ambassador in both China and USA is going to greatly help, because these are the two key countries with which India will be interacting, and considering also the kind of trade war that is going on. Looking at the other thing, I feel that Rajnath Singh getting defense. It's good, because he's somebody who's got the experience that is required, and somebody who can take tough decisions that are required. And there are a lot of issues still, though Mrs. Sitharaman tried to solve them. Still, the kind of productions that the Indian defense sector is still on a weak wicket. So you need to step it up so that they are compliant with Make in India program. Make in India was one of the biggest programs that Mr. Narendra Modi came up with, but it did not take off really, because the Indian defense sector is still so very weak. So that is why probably Rajnath Singh will have to play a very big role to see that the defense ministry takes off.
All right. right, stay with me, R.K. Upadhyay. Political editor Kartikeya Sharma is also with us. I'll just come back to you both. Now, these are the men and women who will be leading India and playing a pivotal role. Let's get in the names for you. Nitin Gadkari, the Minister of Road Transport and Highways and Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. D.V. Sadadan Gowda, Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Ramvilas Paswan is now the Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Narendra Singh Tomar is the Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Minister of Rural Development and Minister of Panchayati Raj. Ravi Shankar Prasad, of course, is the Minister of Law and Justice, the Minister of Communications and Minister of Electronics and Information Technology. Harsimrat Kaur Badal, Minister of Food Processing Industries. Thakur Gehlot, Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment. Ramesh Pokhriyal, Minister of Human Resource Development. Arjun Munda, Minister of Tribal Affairs. Smriti Irani, Minister of Women and Child Development and Minister of Textiles. Dr. Harsh Vardhan, Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Minister of Science and Technology and Minister of Earth Sciences. Prakash Javadekar, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and Minister of Information and Broadcasting. Piyush Goyal, Minister of Railways and Minister of Commerce and Industry. Dharmendra Pradhan, Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas and Minister of Steel. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, Minister of Minority Affairs. Prahlad Joshi, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Minister of Coal and Minister of Mines. Mahendranath Pandey, Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Arvind Ganpat Sawant, Minister of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprise. Giriraj Singh, Minister of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fishery. Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, Minister of Jal Shakti. Those are the key portfolios, and Modi 2.0, the team is now unveiled. I want to also get in Kartikeya at this point to talk a little bit more about the biggest surprise, as R.K. Upadhyay told us, is, according to him, Nirmala Sitharaman and S. Jaishankar. Would you agree that the name of S. Jaishankar, while he does bring in the right mix, was a complete surprise?
See, I would say that Prime Minister Modi has not given in to the usually practiced logic of political seniority. You look at the way the cabinets have been, the top four ministries have been formed. Generally these ministries had been given to people who were politically important. Prime Minister feels that he should be giving these ministries to those who can deliver, people who can be hands-on, people who can execute his vision and strategy. Like, for example, you were talking about the External Affairs Minister. He has got a person who has served in the Foreign Ministry. China is a big issue for us. His contacts all over the world, at least in the Western Hemisphere and Americas, are very well known. So he has got a person who will be able to implement the sort of diplomatic initiative which he wants to take in his second term. Second example, Nirmala Sitharaman. Mr. Jaitley was not hands-on, he was not keeping well. Nirmala Sitharaman will be a hands-on minister when it comes to finance. And it's not about how senior Nirmala is. She has not even contested elections, but the fact of the matter is, she delivers. And thirdly, Amit Shah. Amit Shah had been MOS Home Affairs. Again a micromanager, had a good success as BJP president. The only person who has been retained out of political seniority is Rajnath Singh. And in defense, you need to give guidance. It's not a ministry you micromanage. So I think he has made a perfect choice. It reflects how Modi functions, how he wants to function, and in a way, it reflects in the constitution of the Council of Ministers.
Right, R.K. Upadhyay, we've been talking about the Narendra Modi, Amit Shah team that will now be spearheading multiple efforts, of course, as Home Minister Amit Shah. What do you think will be the priorities in front of the team there?
Before talking to priorities, I would like to say a few more things about this cabinet. I would have liked people like Piyush Goyal and then Nitin Gadkari getting some kind of promotion, because both of them did great job in the last ministry. Especially Piyush, when he had to take on additional responsibility of finance and present a budget. And also he turned around the railways in a very, very big way. And he has handled power beautifully. He has increased the power production in this country. Nitin Gadkari, everybody knows, was the best performer of the previous government. But what have they got? They've just retained whatever they had. I don't know what was the logic behind that. If you can promote Nirmala Sitharaman, a performer, give her a higher responsibility, why not these two? I mean, this is something probably there is more to it than meets the eye. Talking about the priorities of this government, I would say that, they should have lots of priorities. Like, one is the drinking water. there is a huge problem in this country as we have now entered the summer period. All over the country that there is a great shortage of drinking water. I can talk about Karnataka because I know the situation there. People are going down 50, 60 feet in open bore wells to get few buckets of water. And in a place like Dharmasthala, which is a pilgrim center, they've shut it down. They've told the people don't come here because we don't have water, for a few weeks. So until then, please don't come. And in the neighboring Mangalore, which gets 90 inches of rainfall every year, there is a great water shortage, and the schools have stopped giving midday meals because they don't have water. So this should be one of the great priorities of this government. Otherwise, we are facing a big problem. Not only drinking water, I think also the river, cleaning of the rivers, which has not taken off. I'm not just talking about, Ganga cleaning, but there are lots of rivers and tanks and lakes which need to be cleaned so that there is enough drinking water available in this country. I think the priority number 2 for this government has to be on pollution. Pollution is a very huge issue, whether it is the air pollution or the land pollution, which needs to be tackled in a huge way. And among the first, the recent report of the World Health Organization says, out of the first 12 most polluted cities, 11 are in India. And Varanasi, which is the Prime Minister's constituency, is number 3 in the world in terms of air pollution. So there has to be a very, very big, effort to clean up these places. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of problems. And Environment Ministry has been given to Mr. Javadekar. I hope he does a great job as far as this is concerned. And I would say the priority number 3 should be the polluted cities. We need to look at that. And then we also know that the government is making a separate ministry for Ganga river cleaning, and that has not really taken off in the last this thing. And they need to make a little more effort to make sure that this happens. And power supply. For a country of this size, we don't have enough power electricity being produced, and our per capita consumption is very low compared to any other developing or developed countries. So we need to, first of all, we need to have a right kind of a policy. We don't know whether we want to go for solar energy or we want to go for nuclear energy. The previous government, I'm saying the Modi period, they tried to put emphasis on the nuclear energy. But what has happened? None of them have taken off so far. And it's the most expensive and also time-consuming, energy issue. So I would say that instead of going for nuclear energy, they should look at, wind and solar energy as the solutions for this country. And we need to really jack up the availability of power so that, the economy can really take off. I would say the priority number 4 should be about the tax compliance and collection. This government has made a lot of, effort to ensure that tax compliance takes place. In fact, the income tax payees have nearly doubled from 3 crores to 7 crores during the last, period. But then that is not really enough. I feel in this country, at least 20% of the people should be paying income tax, and they don't pay that. And this is the point that Mr. Narendra Modi has made. Why don't people pay income tax, that they are supposed to pay? So this is one issue on which government has to go really hard and make sure that people who are supposed to pay tax pay their taxes. I would say if at least 20% means about 25-30 crores of people. So from 7 crores, it has to become about 25 to 30 crores. And also about, additionally, on the issue of GST. The GST was a great initiative taken by the previous government, but even there the implementation has not been right. We have only about 3 to 4% of the traders who come under the GST, and 1 lakh crores is the revenue that is being generated. I feel at least about 20% of the 20 to 30% of the traders should be paying GST. The government has to really go hard on these people who are trying to evade taxes so that you have enough resources on your hand. And the 5th priority, I would say, is on the issue of corruption. In 2014, Narendra Modi government came to power saying that we will tackle corruption in a very big way and the black money. But what has happened? Many of the cases have not progressed, beyond the courts. We have not seen a single high-profile punishment taking place. So that is, I think, what the people expect. people expect, and I hope during this tenure at least they set up special courts to tackle these cases and bring them to fruition so that we know whether the person concerned is guilty or not. This,
Absolutely.
I think, is my priorities.
Absolutely. And as we've been discussing, Nirmala Sitharaman being entrusted with the charge of the Finance Ministry is one of the key takeaways, and some would say a complete surprise. The Ministry of Finance is now with Nirmala Sitharaman, who joined the BJP in 2008. Remember, she became a party spokesperson. She's seen a spectacular rise in the last decade. In keeping with Modi's policy of rewarding performance and merit, Nirmala Sitharaman, who was sworn in yesterday, continues to be in the top 4 ministers of Modi 2.0, having proven herself as an astute spokesperson who never spoke out of turn. Backed with her track record, Nirmala Sitharaman, who was made the Minister of Commerce and Industry in 2014. She continued to serve in this ministry until 2017. And in 2017, Nirmala Sitharaman, remember, was entrusted with the Ministry of Defence, taking over from Arun Jaitley, who at the time was also the Minister of Finance at a difficult time, remember, when the opposition was turning on the heat on the government over the Rafale deal. Nirmala Sitharaman had stoutly defended the government's position both inside and outside the parliament as the second woman defence minister of India. Nirmala Sitharaman handled the defence ministry at a difficult time as well, especially during and after the Doklam crisis. For the first time, India did not budge and made China bunk. The Dragon, which had made incursions at the tri-junction of India, China and Bhutan, was forced to retreat. It is this performance, clearly, which has made Narendra Modi entrust Nirmala Sitharaman in what is going to be the most crucial ministry, one of the most crucial ministries in Modi 2.0. With the economy slowing down and the job crisis and a lot of those economic challenges up ahead, Nirmala Sitharaman has her job cut out over the next few weeks to come. Kartikeya, we have been talking about a lot of those challenges as well. Nirmala Sitharaman has proven her track record as Minister of Commerce and Industry. She does have a lot of those challenges. It's an uphill task at the same time when we're looking at the economic conditions, the global economic conditions, and her being entrusted with the charge of Finance Ministry is extremely interesting.
Oh, absolutely. See, Prime Minister make this cabinet, if you look at very finely, it's an amalgamation of people who he wants to do a job, who have been brought from outside, accommodation of political seniority, accommodation of some leaders from the state, and giving some demotion of some ministers, and giving portfolios to those ministers whom we think, controversy can be created. The best example is Smriti Irani. She's a giant killer. When the oath-taking ceremony was taking place, Prime Minister, Amit Shah and Smriti Irani, maximum cheer from the crowd took place. Apart from when the Prime Minister came and Amit Shah took the oath, it was for Smriti Irani. But the portfolio, she's handed over Women and Child Welfare Development, and she retains textile. So I would say that the Prime Minister has he has recrafted his ministry in a way which is very work-oriented, so that the people don't create controversy. But since we have been only talking about the CCS, I would say that the Prime Minister has not given in to accommodating senior leaders of the party when it comes to the Cabinet Committee of Security. If that would have been the case, we would have found Nitin Gadkari in the CCS. We would have found other senior leaders in Ravi Shankar Prasad in the CCS. It has not happened. He has given jobs to those who think will deliver in context of the vision he has. And that's what Prime Minister Modi has done.
Right. Stay on with me, Kartikeya and R.K. Upadhyay. We've also been talking about how four-time Member of Parliament from Hamirpur in Himachal Pradesh, Anurag Thakur, has been one of the big winners in the second Modi cabinet. Thakur has been rewarded with the important portfolios of Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs, a Ranji Trophy cricketer and a keen sportsperson. Thakur has also been president of the BJP's youth wing, the All India Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha. He is the son of two-time Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Prem Kumar. Thakur was one of the young guns in the BCCI through 2010 to 2014 and was elected Secretary of the Indian Cricket Board in 2014 and then was elected BCCI President in 2016. He was then removed by the Supreme Court in January 2017 for blocking the Lodha reforms initiated by the court in the wake of the match-fixing scandal in Indian cricket in 2013. Thakur was instrumental in allowing the Afghanistan cricket team to use India as their home ground due to security issues in their own country. Thakur has also been president of the Himachal Olympic Association and is one of the prominent youth faces in the current government. R.K. Upadhyay, would you like to weigh in on the reward, of course, that the man from Himachal Pradesh has received?
I think that's one of the best appointments that Mr. Modi has done. I have a lot of regard and respect for Anurag Thakur because, the kind of reforms that he brought in, in the cricket field as the BCCI president, which was unprecedented. But unfortunately, the Supreme Court was bent upon implementing the Lodha Committee's report, and it mercilessly removed him when he was really doing a good job as a BCCI president. He had to take on, a lot of, old timers like Sharad Pawar, who are Lalu Prasad Yadav, who are running the show in cricket. And here was a big, young man who came from in a small place like Himachal Pradesh, and he was really able to run the cricket board very well. But the kind of mess that Supreme Court's order has left in the cricket board is now well known. And you have a cricket COA, that Committee of Administrators, which is not really performing harmoniously. So the mess continues there, and unfortunately Thakur had to leave that place. Now at least he has found a good rehabilitation in this government, and I'm sure he will deliver, because I believe he's a doer. He's a doer and he knows his job, and he has been given a very important ministry, and I'm sure he'll do a good job of it.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, let's also take a look at the interesting mix that Modi 2.0 really is. A lot of those names that have been making the news include 35-year-old Rajasthan MP Kailash Chaudhary. He is the youngest minister at the age of 35. He won by a margin of over 3 lakh votes. Kailash Chaudhary is the Minister of State for Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare, while Ram Vilas Paswan is the most senior minister in the cabinet. He is 72. Paswan is also the most experienced minister, as he has served for over 10 terms and under 6 prime ministers. In Modi 2.0, Ram Vilas Paswan is the Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Akali Dal's Harsimrat Kaur Badal is the richest minister in Modi 2.0. She is to handle the Ministry of Food Processing Industries. She has declared assets worth 217 crore rupees. Pratap Chandra, on the other hand, is the poorest minister. He is the Minister of State for MSMES. The 64-year-old first-time MP from Odisha is known for leading an austere life. He is also dubbed as Odisha's Modi. And post the swearing-in ceremony last evening at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, Prime Minister Modi has a packed schedule today. Prime Minister Modi held separate bilateral meetings in New Delhi. Just a short while back, Prime Minister Modi met Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena. The leaders noted that terrorism and extremism continue to pose a huge threat to humanity and committed to closer bilateral cooperation for peace and security in South Asia. Maithripala Sirisena, remember, was present during last evening's swearing-in ceremony. BIMSTEC nation leaders were a key highlight of those who attended. Prime Minister Modi also held a meeting with the Prime Minister of Mauritius, Pravind Kumar Jagnnath. Both leaders agreed to work together to achieve milestones in terms of security and growth of the two countries. Prime Minister Modi will be making his first neighborhood visit to Sri Lanka and the Maldives next week. Prime Minister Modi also held a bilateral meeting with the Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. Last year, Prime Minister Modi visited Nepal for the 4th BIMSTEC summit. In 2016, India had called leaders of BIMSTEC countries for a meeting in Goa during the BRICS summit. Prime Minister Modi's last bilateral of the day was with Bhutan Prime Minister Lothe Tshering. Yesterday, India had invited the leaders of the BIMSTEC grouping for the oath-taking ceremony of Narendra Modi as part of its Neighbourhood First and Act East policies. Prime Minister Modi's first bilateral after being sworn in was with Kyrgyz President Suronbay Kenebov. Kyrgyzstan is the chair of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Prime Minister Modi will be visiting the country in the second week of June for the SCO summit. And the biggest surprise in many ways from last evening was the induction of S. Jaishankar, as we just discussed, as a cabinet minister. But that's not all. The former foreign secretary is now heading the Ministry of External Affairs, and that means he forms an integral part of Prime Minister Modi's core team and is a member of the topmost cabinet group, the CCS, or the Cabinet Committee on Security. The key challenges for Jaishankar in his new role would include Iran, the US trade deficit with India, and the country's trade deficit with China. Experts say that Jaishankar's inclusion as External Affairs Minister can bring in the expertise needed to navigate the economic turbulence arising out of the US-China trade war. As we know, Jaishankar's experience in the Indian Foreign Service has been vast. He's been India's longest-serving envoy in Beijing and an ambassador to the US. He has handled tricky issues with Washington, among them the civil nuclear deal and the Devyani Khobragade issue. Remember, when Narendra Modi took over as India's Prime Minister in 2014, Jaishankar emerged as his unofficial foreign policy advisor. Reports say he shares a rapport with the Prime Minister, and he caught Modi's attention when he visited China as the Gujarat Chief Minister in 2012. Jaishankar retired as Foreign Secretary in January 2018. In April that year, the Tata Group appointed him as the head of global corporate affairs.